What am I? What is this thing called life? How did I get here? Where am I going? This started a lively dialogue with our small groups. So let's focus again on what is this thing we call life. Some philosophers refer to it as a game. Some basics color the game. Goals. The basic goal of life is survive. But along the way, we each encounter barriers to survival. These barriers are viewed as problems. When we have a training, mental capacity, and the correct calculations within an environment, we can survive by making correct decisions and thrive. But the opposite's true when we lack resources and basic necessities for survival. But one of the things we get all worked up in is, what really is a problem? Does anyone want to offer up a definition that they have instantly in their mind for what do you call a problem?
Fear of something.
Okay, good.
I
Mark has no problem.
I just have
Comes to him for answers.
Okay.
There's some kind of negative stop. That's probably why we don't use the word problem and try to use challenge and other things, an opportunity instead. So when it's called a problem, there's some kind of negative connotation, the stoppage from progressing or flow of energy.
Good, Dan. Anybody else? Amen.
Any perceived obstacle from attaining your desired goal or result.
Good. So one of the first things we learned in Personal Values and Integrity course is how to judge if something's right or wrong, and how to survive better in areas of your life. As a group, we can choose to form a cohesive unit that urges each member of the group toward higher characteristics of survival than one achieves by themselves. In many respects, our WIN group can create higher survival rates by forming alliances, and our reliance, kind of like the traditional family, but we expand on that because we're not in that dynamic of a family where there's this normal set of expectations. We do this by our individual and our collective willingness to expand the knowledge that creates our group, creates our preparation, and trains us better on survival and decision making. This leads each of us to healthier eating habits, better rest, more clear thinking, energetic grounding, happier and more productive work lives, more play, as in some indication in front of you,
There you go.
and confidence that if one's veering off the course, that a fellow WIN member is going to be there nearby with some ideas or some course correction. This can be as minor or sometimes major as like when Perry's encouraging me not to eat after 6 o'clock because this thing called the cortisol cycle, which has to do with your body's energy, it slows down, especially as you get older, helps you to gain weight by eating food after 6 o'clock. So that's one of the ways that within our household he's constantly prodding me along. Or just phone calls we have amongst each other before or during meetings, or checking up on each other. Just like today I had a special checkup on one of our members who couldn't physically be here tonight. Dear Linda Krevling, he's in Buffalo, New York, cuddling a 7-pound, 8-ounce baby boy named Evan John.
Awesome.
4 hours of labor. Her daughter did fantastic. Everybody's healthy, and it's a beautiful baby, and I can show you the picture later on my phone.
Thank you.
So, but or for example, we had some members who had some back pain for a while, and were using energetic techniques to get to the root cause of the stuck energy. But what helped was when family members would just call and encourage or check in and see what's happening. How's your progress? Are you sticking with the routine of trying to take responsibility for finding the root cause of that? And each one of us at some point in time has probably had a back pain, and so taking responsibility rather than taking an aspirin or an Advil is a difficult thing, as some of us, especially Beverly, recently found out. This leads me to quoting the first few axioms of the Code of Honor that's outlined in Personal Values and Integrity. And that was in our course pack, as well as it's now posted on our website in the Success Mastery, the Personal Mastery course. So, quoting the course, anyone practicing the Code of Honor would maintain a good opinion of his fellows, a much more important thing than having one's fellows maintain a good opinion of one. 1. Never desert a comrade in need, in danger, or in trouble. 2. Never withdraw allegiance once granted. 3. Never desert a group to which you owe your support. So now that I've got you tuned in, I'm going to pass out a blank piece of paper to each one of you. And once you get your piece of paper, I want you to divide it into 3 columns. Whichever direction you want your 3 columns. Horizontal or lateral. I'm going to have you write a series of words. The series of words are going to be positive, neutral, and negative forms. Because this is tuning us into the power of our choice of words. Just like Dan was reminding us of the power of the choice of words when we look at the concept of challenges. So right at the top of your paper, title your columns, positive, neutral, negative. Have I got the columns titled? Okay. There's no titles on yours. Oh, you got it. Okay. I need to add my glasses. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples, and you can write my examples down, or you don't have to write my examples down. But these are kind of starting from responsible being a positive word, negative version being victim, and neutral being, my version of neutral is hide. Hide.
Run and hide.
Responsible,
You call that neutral?
hide, victim. Next one. Loyalty, positive. Negative, betrayal. Neutral, agree. Positive, commend. C-O-M-M-E-N-D. Neutral, acknowledge. Negative, humiliate. Now I'm going to give you 5 more words. I'm going to read you the definition, or give you a basic definition as these words were used in our personal values and integrity. And after that, I want you each to contemplate and write down your own versions of neutral and negative to each one of these words. And then we'll open up the discussion on the list of words. Yes,
What was the neutral on that last one? Sorry.
commend, acknowledge, humiliate.
I missed the positive on the second word.
Loyalty, agree, betrayal. Okay. Everybody ready? First one is comrade. A comrade is a person who shares one's interests, a friend or companion. So when you come up with your neutral and negatives, everybody just either lift your heads or give me kind of an acknowledgement that we're ready to move on. Comrade, a person who shares one's interests, back to the next one. Allegiance. Loyalty, or the obligation of loyalty as to a nation, or loyalty to a cause. Allegiance. Loyalty, or the obligation of loyalty as to a nation or a cause. So when you're thinking neutral to that and negative. Support. To keep from weakening or failing. Give confidence or comfort. Support. To keep from weakening or failing. Give confidence or comfort. So what's... Okay, guys? Cohesive. Two or more people or things that stick together. Unified. Cohesive. Two or more people or things that stick together. Unified.
Neutral or hard?
They are hard.
Neutral.
They are hard.
The extremes are good than the neutral, huh?
And while your ears are smoking and smoke's coming out, your last word is survive. To remain functional, to remain alive or in existence. Survive. To remain functional, to remain alive or in existence. All right, now that your ears have smoked and you don't want to burden the brain cells too much, to comrade. Does anyone want to offer their opposite to comrade? Harry.
I have as neutral associate, as negative enemy.
Enemy?
We concur on enemy. Okay. Anybody else have any other neutral?
Acquaintance?
Okay, good.
Wow.
Good. We're all thinking together. Yes.
I have undecided.
There you go.
Okay. How about allegiance?
Deterrent is negative.
Okay.
I was trying to find a noun.
Disloyalty. Good. That doesn't feel good, does it? Anybody else got it?
Betrayal.
Excellent.
We used it up above.
Yeah, yeah. And when you even say those words, do you feel the energy kind of in your whole entire, you go into your gut here, and you're like, well, the word allegiance feels really good. Yeah. Then you start saying betrayal, and it's like, we all have this kind of churning, yeah. So this is how we kind of are tuning in our gut check together. Okay, so neutral to allegiance?
Non-committal.
Good. Existence. Okay. Anybody else want to? Yeah.
No, I put undeclared.
Attendance or unattended.
Okay, great.
Show up.
Support. Support. What was the opposite of support? Negative.
What'd she say?
Undermine. What do you got, Karen?
Destroy.
Yeah,
And
Karen.
destroy and destruct.
Okay. Neutral to support.
Missing.
Missing.
Agreeable.
Okay.
Or just ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to find something neutral is probably.
Yeah. They all feel just kind of like you're just in a stop spot, but when you get into destroy, it has that gut check, that not so good feeling. Cohesive. What do we got?
Scattered.
Good.
Separate.
Divided.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Unagreed.
Detached.
Repel.
Ooh,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's more action.
That's more magnetic, the cohesion of particles and the repelling of particles. Okay. Neutral to cohesive.
Unattached. Next to. You know, like this
which is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Inactive,
Yeah, good, good. Survive.
die.
Dysfunction.
Suicide.
Okay. And the neutral to survive.
Exist.
Good,
Present.
good.
Exist, yeah.
Exist.
Just being, I just autopilot, like you're just there, just doing what absolutely has to get done in order to exist.
Excellent. Okay, so if you guys don't mind, pass in your papers so we can compile
You guys don't know that.
and so we have a compilation of expanding knowledge and expanding thoughts. Now we've got a little activity we're going to do. We're going to play with clay. Could you bring an extra clay?
I brought extra clay.
If
For
you
the
want to.
whole class?
Okay, playing with clay
Yeah.
is to take these pieces of clay that we get to pick from the colors, and I'm going to give you a sentence, and you use the clay to make little figures, make little objects, but as you make your little figures or objects, you tear up little pieces of paper and give your objects, if it's a person or a house or whatever it represents, your artistics doesn't matter. It's getting your thought from your mind down into an object. So I'm going to call that a man, and this a house, and this playground. So as I made those out of clay, I would take a little piece of paper, rip it up, and just call that man or house or playground. So that when we're done with our own personal Play-Doh, we're going to pair off, and you're going to explain your Play-Doh demonstration to the person you paired off with. There's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of us. So there'll be a pair of 3. Mike, are you going to join us in Play-Doh play?
I guess.
No pressure.
And our sentence, we've cleared the words in our sentence in our word drill here. A cohesive allegiance of Win comrades supports the survival of you. A cohesive allegiance of Win World Information Network comrades supports the survival of you. Yeah. That's what you said.
There is a significance to this, what we're doing here. Actually, it's very significant to manifestation of things in this dimension, if you will, into material, energy, space-time stuff. Can you hear me?
Because of the noise, no.
Oh,
Gotta push up there.
okay. So, again, there's a significance to this exercise. I don't know if she was going to tell you afterwards, but the significance is when you make these demos of concepts, and this has to do with anything that you want to manifest, really. I mean, this is a little ahead of the game, but it's in line with these concepts that hopefully we're going to go over some of these tenets in the PV&I course. But there's something called the demo kit in the old PV&I. I think they eliminated it from the new one, but she was saying that these different things represent something, and they represent something in reality. So whenever you really want to bring something into a full conceptual understanding or a better understanding, you make a demo out of it. You can use, odds and ends just from, the house. You could just create your own, what they call a demo kit, out of a button, a battery, a bolt, a knick-knack, anything to represent what you want to represent in reality. And you're going to find there's a significance when you're done here. Once you're done creating this concept, you're going to better understand it. And when you're trying to bring something more into reality, and you create or form it out of something that's already here, something material, you not only better understand it, but you bring it more into this dimension, if you will. So there's a real significance here. If you ever don't really understand something, demo it out.
The word is mass.
Yeah, mass to
You're
it.
giving the thought,
You're adding mass to it, exactly.
because when you lack mass on a concept, even if it's an arbitrary concept, lacking mass will stick your thoughts having not fully conceptualized it. So we as spiritual beings play a game in the physical universe of playing with mass. And we take thoughts in our thought maker, and our thought maker, and our thought maker, and without having significances, we will create other significances for them. So if we focus our thoughts, say we're wanting to create $1 million, or right now we're trying to create a cohesive allegiance, cohesive meaning our group is bonding together and helping each other grow and expand. And we want to support the survival of each other so that we have an expanding group and we have this core that's becoming like the center of a nuclear bomb. We're going to become very intensely hot, and others will see our light start shining like a star.
It's getting a little beyond what we're doing here.
It's still part of the cohesive.
To create, to bring something more into reality, you want to give it some mass. And these definitions she's been giving come into play as well, because you don't want to go past a word or a concept you don't understand without fully defining it. So you always want to fully define your word, and you then bring it more into this reality by adding this mass to it. That's the simplicity of it. But
Did you say that again? The first part of this time.
the first part about defining.
Just what we're trying to do here.
You don't want to go past the word.
You don't want to go past.
You don't want to go past a word. That was discovered way back in the
Yeah.
50s, right? Because when you do, you'll have some attention on that word. You won't quite get the full impact of anything beyond that if you keep reading or if you keep trying to understand a thing. If you're stuck on a word you don't fully understand. So you always want to fully know and define the words you use. Because a lot of times we use words and they're just like we just commonly do it, but we don't really fully understand what the definition of the word is. So you want to define words like we were doing this little word game here. And then if you want to bring it closer into this dimension, into this reality, you add mass to it. This is mass. And also it does that, but there's a secondary benefit. The secondary benefit is that when you demo something out, like this concept she's written on these cards, you're going to better understand this concept. I mean, you might read it and think, yeah, I know what that means, but what do you see after you add a little mass to it, how it feels? Or
And
how
then
much
after
greater
you
understand it?
share that demo, and there is no right or wrong demo. You can have
No,
blocks.
everybody's gonna have a unique
Everybody
one.
has their own creative thoughts, and we want to make sure you feel validated in being uniquely you. I want you to feel like that your creative thoughts are just as important as Emeka's creative thoughts, and just as important as Mike's creative thoughts, as important as Beverly's creative thoughts, and Mark's, and Don's, and Dan's, and Jan's, Karen's, and sometimes Karen's, Paula's with her bright blue. So has anybody got any questions about the intention or the game we're playing here? Is that what? So everybody got enough Play-Doh?
I know.
I'm sure you're gonna have my phone.
Eight.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Okay. The reason a person gives up on study or becomes confused or unable to learn is because he or she has gone past a word that was not understood. The confusion or inability to grasp, understand, or comprehend, or learn comes after a word that person or you did not have defined and understood. Have you ever had the experience of coming to the end of a page and realized you didn't know what you had read?
Yeah.
Well, somewhere earlier on that page, you went past a word that you had no definition for or had an incorrect definition for. Here's an example. It was found that when the crepuscule arrived, the children were quieter, and when it was not present, they were much livelier. You see what happens? You didn't think you don't understand the whole idea, but the inability to understand the entirety came with one word that you could not define, crepuscule, which meant twilight or darkness. So if I reread the sentence, it was found that when the twilight arrived, the children were quieter, and when it was not present, they were much livelier. It may not only be the new or unusual words that you will have to look up. Some commonly used words can often be misdefined, and so you cause confusion. This datum about not going past an undefined word is the most important fact in the whole subject of study. Every subject you have taken up and abandoned had its words which you failed to get defined. Therefore, in studying a course, be very, very certain you never go past a word you do not fully understand. If the material becomes confusing or you can't seem to grasp it, there will be a word just earlier that you have not understood. Don't go any further. Go back to before you got into trouble. Find that misunderstood word and get it defined. Would anybody be objectionable to me switching up and us not pairing off and having us just go around the table when you're wrapping up and describing to the whole group? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. Looks like Mr. Mark is done. If anybody wants to hear what Mr. Mark has demoed here and put their attention on Mr. Mark.
Cool.
Okay, Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark.
Yeah.
Mr. Mark.
I decided that this is a group of people sitting around a campfire, having some stuff to eat around the beach.
Nice. And how does that feel to you when you feel the cohesion?
I like being around people, so
Okay.
it's good. I like the beach.
Bev, you stopped playing with clay. What's yours say to us?
This is me.
Okay.
I'm very happy because
This
the
one.
people here, my brain is connected to the other brain.
Ah, nice.
And it supports me and ideas back and forth for everybody.
Okay, so that the camera heard, she has other people supporting her and she's connected. That's nice. Nice. Good. You ready?
Yep.
Good.
I did a braid. I put 3 different things together because when we're alone, we're not as strong. But when we're connected, like with a braid, your rope is stronger
Yeah.
and you are more powerful and can do more.
That's three, four,
Very
four.
good.
You get an A.
Mr. Perry, are you ready to?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not done yet. I'm still
Jen, you ready?
going.
I made a chain link here.
Good job.
Each link represents one comrade, and we're all cookies together, creating an allegiance.
Awesome.
Oh my
Karen.
There's rioting going on. So we're going into a cave and we're sitting around trying to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it with a campfire.
Oh, nice. Got some dynamics and energy moving around, some positive and some negative. And neutral, yeah.
I'll follow that.
Yeah, that was my thought.
Going beyond Earth, then what do we do now? We got the bread, we got the water, we got the 55-gallon drum, we got the vehicle, we got the guns, we got the ammunition.
Firewater.
That's where Mecca got his supplies.
Spicy rum.
Dan.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to find words with objects, more literal or phrases, so I started with cohesive allegiance. And that would be the ring around here, and the different colors of all of us bind together as an allegiance with different people in our group. These individuals are in the center, us as WIN members, and then we're connected in a star pattern, so that is more kind of representing life and the sun and brightness and life, survival. And the support actually is the floor here around the ring, and some of these pillars that WIN represents WIN, and holds us up underneath a tidal wave here of water and a tidal wave of life that's trying to wash over us.
Wow. Donna, you ready with your bright and purple yellow?
Well, no, after Dan.
Yeah.
I want to go first.
Really? I mean,
No.
mine's very straightforward.
Okay.
Okay.
To the point, communicating.
I mean, yeah, we have to explain it. So this actually is me in the middle. See, I got little blonde hair and everything.
Wait, let me cut that.
Yeah, it's a little long, but for demonstration purposes. And I connected to this network here, and I was going to connect all of them too, but I ran out of time. So they're feeding me, but I'm feeding them too. These are two-way connections.
Yeah.
So I'm drawing off them to support me, but I am also sending out and supporting them.
Awesome. Very good.
And it's pretty.
It is.
Then there's Mecca.
What if you
Picks it up like
No,
the weed.
no.
We're just gonna smoke that and he's gonna be
I like this one.
Eat it. It's pigs in a blanket.
No, I don't know why I thought of Woodstock, but but no, this is more of acknowledging plants and
Come on, talk yourself out of the bus.
and all nature gave us.
Yeah.
And cut. No, I'm actually still working on it.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I think we need to come back to that.
Okay.
Okay, those are the esoteric.
What? Am I the last one?
Space
Yeah,
station.
you're next.
I gotta close the loop here.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, he is wearing two colors.
I got it. All right.
Well, we offered sharing.
Well,
Wow.
hang
Yeah.
on.
Circle in the wagon
Got it.
train.
Onto your hat.
Okay.
This circle represents the planet. What we're endeavoring to do here is get information around this whole planet, starting right here, if you will, that will ultimately change people's lives for the better and ultimately take them to happiness and freedom in every sense of that word. It's all emanating from, if you will, the center here, these little blue, brown things.
Things.
Well, what are your
Mass.
things? We don't have things that have no identity.
Are they people?
These little blue round things represent what this club is putting out there in the terms of the information, the training, the networking, and that which will bring people, these little dots here, this is that information just out there all over the planet waiting to be picked up, whether it's internet, whether it's one of three circles represent the core of the information going out from the club to the website to the people. I added the different balls on top and the colors just to represent the layers that are being offered out there to everyone. And these are more, if you will, factions of people all over the planet. These little balls here. And the blue is that cohesive line that connects everybody to the center, to the core of the information, which is the club itself, which is also everybody. So it's all one big, nice, cohesive whole that's expanding around the planet. It's expanding through the website, it's expanding through the people, it's expanding through, again, whatever avenues we get it out there. Any and every avenue that we can pursue, we will. That way it gets all over the globe. Ultimate goal here, again, is freedom, happiness, whatever that means to the individual. So.
No, I actually created something quick where you have a network of people basically reaching for the sky. And the blue represents the sky and basically what they're looking for, which is basically the future. And since the sky is the limit, the unlimited potential that the universe has for them, and they just tap into it. So it's just looking forward to that.
Nice recovery.
Okay. Any questions of each other about?
Those look edible.
Yeah, it looks like food.
Yeah.
Ice cream cones or something.
Yeah.
I thought the previous ones were.
Quite consumable. So, to each one of you, does anybody have any comments about what this sentence, a cohesive allegiance of Win Comrades supports the survival of you? How does that make you feel when you think of an allegiance of your Win Comrades?
You never feel alone. I mean, you always have the support of a group, no matter what you're doing. And that's power, that's strength, that's confidence. You have a bad day, you've got people that you can talk with and they can support you and share ideas, and it's a sending and a receiving, constant sending and receiving. So,
Strength.
yeah, it's strength. You don't have to, be alone.
When we didn't have this group, did you feel you had allegiances in your smaller arena? Did you feel like there was some place where you had the word allies? Where were you finding your allies?
Family, to a certain extent, and in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
You could count on family to be your ally. Not always, but there's potential there. Yeah.
Right.
Co-workers.
Yeah. Potential.
Mm-hmm.
It varies by person, I think.
What about that survival? Do you think it's greater survival if we ally with our genetic family, or if we ally with people that we've chosen to be our group, our cohesive thinkers?
Our
We're second one.
You like-minded people.
And why? Why?
Because of the mastermind that you're able to create together when you all are thinking in the same manner. Say, like, for instance, at home, maybe you have your family members, you have your family, your extended family also, but they're not always thinking like you do. They have different beliefs than you do.
They're on a different page.
they're on a different page, they're on a different level, they're on a different mind frame, and there's not that close cohesiveness of thinking that we have
Right.
in a group.
We're not on the same vibration.
Excellent. There we're getting it.
Yes.
There we're getting it. And when we change that core, that positive, neutral, negative. Sure, there's plenty of times when we feel really good around our family and we love the holidays together, but just like Mary Miller has lectured many times, she has spent a lot of time in immediate triage with her clients at the holiday time because they're arriving into a space where there's a expectation of what you were like the last time you showed up and how dare you change. And there's old patterns that people just automatically go into that are almost like they're programmed into our vibrations. So you step into that room and you have a certain behavior you do around your sister and mom because sister always tells you she doesn't like the way your hair, or you're expected to always dislike orange juice because when you were 5 years old you spit orange juice at your sister or brother. Well, maybe something changed in your taste and likes and preferences and you learned that orange juice was good food and you were now eating kale and an organic diet, and you walk into your family and they've got biscuits and gravy and sausage, and you're going, hey, what's for breakfast? So, yes, yeah, continue.
You talk about survival and some of these keywords with the group, and how that's important with the WIN, Comrades for Support. Individually, we're in a negative world and a lot of negative vibration and lack of light. So in order for the person, one individual, to keep your vibration up, you don't do that for so long before that starts to dull in strength and duration. So to be together in a cohesive alliance and support with the other WIN members, when one is at a lower vibration, the other in the mastermind, the other one brings that back up and keeps the vibration high enough for all of us connected to keep it up as a group, because one person, I think it's really impossible to do in this world that we're trying to turn around the negativity and darkness.
Very good.
Thank you guys for your vibration, continued vibration as a group, and being here.
Yeah.
With each other.
I think it's just great, you know, when you're just really accepted and appreciated for who you are, and no one has to change you or anything, and you're accepted. Because we're all unique, but among family, that sometimes is very challenging.
If you're allowed.
Did you recently have some challenges you could expand upon your recent travels in Mecca and tell us how you could have applied the differentiation between a cohesive, comrading group versus your extensive travels recently?
Well, I must really tell you that a lot of the customs and traditions are very ingrained in centuries old, to where being independent, being who you want to be, and having your own identity seems to still be a chance where no one wants to go out there because of the type of ridicule or basically ridicule or some other word isolation you become when you're just unique, because it's more ingrained than unless you're a doctor, lawyer, you're pretty much a fool.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically there's a certain custom how they want you to act or perform, and if you don't, then there's gossip. Look at what he's doing. So being accepted of who you want to be in your own, form your own identity, seems to challenge a lot of people, to be really honest. So in order to not cause any waves of quote unquote
recording, where were you just recently traveling to your home country?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. No, excuse me, repeat that.
So what's your home country for the recording?
Oh, Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but I like I was telling you and others that it does, and Kevin had said this, is that when you travel, it does expand your thinking and puts a lot of things in perspective. And you really get a sense of humbleness and also gratitude wherever you are by seeing both sides and appreciating more and also learning to improve and be better than what you were yesterday. So it's very rewarding. And of all things, we learn that we all believe the same, no matter where you are. Yes.
Okay.
Can I add to that? His
Yeah.
just our group and the way we can just the openness that you can actually be act whatever, be the way you want or talk about something you want to be, so without judgment, and you get to be a kid again. We're playing with Play-Doh tonight. We'll tell everybody outside of here what you do. We'll play Play-Doh. It's awesome. Who would have thought that was coming? So you get to be a kid again. I was see this is a good example.
Okay, I think I got the idea.
Well, I guess you could do it that way.
Alright, so to conclude with the cohesive alliance of wind comrades supporting its survival. I guess that's not a parade, is it?
No.
It's close
It's a
enough.
rope.
Close enough.
It's like a rope.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stronger.
it's
It's a
a very,
threefold cord.
it's a very simple concept. I mean, more cords in the rope, the stronger it is, the more weight it'll take. So obviously, that's more conducive to people's survival overall. But the beauty of this club is, and the beauty of the first level of training is for people to realize that they're not exactly a body, if they're not physical, they're non-physical. And that they can be anywhere and everywhere, and wherever they so choose to be by their own considerations, by their own thoughts. And this whole thing, this whole reality we have is just agreement. And we have an alliance of a lot of people. I mean, the more people kind of exponentially increases the power to create, if you will, whatever it is that you're looking to create. And we all are connected no matter where on this planet. It doesn't have to be like as close as the braid of a rope when you're talking about non-physical beings, spiritual beings. It can be anywhere on the planet. It can be anywhere in the universe for that matter. But as long as we're connected by a common thing, our common belief and our training and an agreement, there's nothing that can break this cord. And the more folks we have involved, the stronger it gets. But each and every individual here is awesomely powerful. Every one of us. And just this little group here, when you get a full understanding of what this means and how we are connected and how much we could create just by agreeing to do it together, you'll find that that's so conducive to our survival, if you will. I mean, we're using the word survival in the sense of, I guess most people are kind of equating that to physical survival, but if there's one thing we can't not do, it's survive, really. As spiritual beings, we can't not survive. There's really nothing that can destroy what you are, actually. These bodies can maybe be destroyed, but you can't. I mean, ultimately, we're here to play kind of a game here in this material world, and that's great. And we all come together here to try to understand and learn these concepts to kind of enjoy this game even more. But again, this concept of a cord, certainly everybody can relate to. More cords, more strength, more likely you're going to be able to survive. But ultimately what you are can't do anything but survive. And survive pretty much forever. So we got to find something to do here. Right? buzzword. And I think ultimately the point here, without going too far with it, is that I'm just trying to bring this home. So the cohesive whole, or a cohesive allegiance of Win Comrades supports the survival of you. It does. It does in every sense that I just mentioned, in the concept of the rope, in the concept of what you really are spiritually, because this whole planet and everything you see is really agreements of these, all of us. It really exists because of all of us. And those of you that have gone through level 1, you found that like quantum physics of the day is kind of caught up with understanding that really everything's just a collapse of this wave of potentiality out there. And what collapses it, it's you focusing on it. And what collapses it even faster and keeps it in that state is the agreement of all of us. And that's, you know, and then people forget about those agreements and who they are, and they're studying what they've created, not knowing they created it, and then they get to the point where they discover, oh yeah, we did that together. So you can't do anything but survive, all of us. And this group,
Accord with each other. Accord, not cord. It's agreement. And as we add more agreements on top of the agreements that already exist, what do? We get reinforced. So what do we do gathering in this room? We're reinforcing our accord with each other. We're reinforcing that simple idea of, I like you. I like spending time with you. I like playing with you. I like laughing with you. So when we talk about masterminding, and Perry's talking about how we're spiritual beings, when we put our minds into this pooling, into, wow, look at your idea, and look at your idea, and look at your idea, we are acknowledging that Mark's got a good idea, and Karen's got a good idea, and Dan's got a good idea, and we start getting that gut feeling together, and when we start activating those neural cells in our gut, our heart, and our head, and we're starting to harmonize, and we've all been studying about this grounding. So here all of a sudden we've got this grounding, and we're intentionally in a group, getting close to each other, hugging, and getting those connections, those little bit of warm touches. So we're reinforcing those neural pathways that have nothing to do with our family as a genetic family, but as we start vibrating together, we have a family connection that when we're each out in our own workplace, and I've had times when Beverly says, oh yeah, you're feeling better now, aren't you? We're starting to have this connection to each other and to our fellow WIN members that's starting to help heal us and lift us up. Kind of that old, when the ocean rises, all ships rise. So we're doing our part. This is not an easy job we're doing. We've been through some growing pains, some experiences together, and we want to share this message with others. So as we move into 2015, we want to keep inviting our friends and comrades who were aligned and participating in the past, and invite others who you would like and enjoy adding to and enjoy joining or aligning new thoughts. So as we get ready for our next meeting, which, Donna, isn't that
First Wednesday, whatever that is.
February 4th. As we get ready for our meeting on February 4th, I wanted to see if people would volunteer to do a few tasks. We've done this in the past where we all kind of divided up tasks for our our next meeting. And I was thinking that we'd have a couple of people work on the dynamics of existence from personal values and integrity. Did anybody have some real wins or cognitions as they were thinking about the dynamics of existence in personal values and integrity?
You know, I'm not sure personal values and integrity goes into it in great depth. I think the big thing in this book that I really wanted to get across, it seems to be working like beyond what I even expected, as far as I didn't want anyone to progress in these levels without their ethics in check, without personal integrity